Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Stylosa, and in this video I'm going to show you the recent buffs and nerfs that have hit the game. We've got Brig being nerfed, Moira being buffed, but also I want to show you guys this. This is the new priority pass system. Now, I spoke about this in a recent video where Blizzard teased this. In fact, Jeff straight up said this is going to be a thing in the game. It is now available on the PTR. However, there are some caveats with this. It is the PTR, so the queue times are going to be absolutely whack, and I'm not too sure how this is going to actually impact them. But what I'm going to show you is the way this works. So you basically queue for flex roll. You can see the reward for this is a priority pass. Now, this is how it works. You earn priority passes. Queue for flex in roll queue to earn priority passes, with more passes earned for the wins than for losses. And we'll come back to that in a second. This is how it works, apparently. So this is giving you an example of over 10 minutes. And, wait for this, use the priority pass. Suddenly, it becomes under 5 minutes. That seems like a really good trade-off. And then finally, you can use passes in groups. If all group members queuing for high traffic roles use a pass, the group's queue time will be decreased. So this is the way it currently works. Remember, this is PTR. This can all change in the future. Now, the issue I've got with this priority pass is for losing. Does this mean you could just be like, you know what, guys, I'm just going to YOLO lol and select tank and just throw and end the game as fast as possible because I want the passes to then slap into the damage queue? That's a worry, and hopefully that's something Blizzard have been thinking about. All right, I'm going to jump into a game and then come back to this. I'm not going to show you guys the game. I'm going to hit this, and we're going to queue up, and I'll see you guys on the other side. All right, guys, so I've won a game. It was actually a really good game for the PTR. Now, you can see the way this is going to work. So I've got 6 tickets for winning the game. And actually, I spoke to the guys in the chat in the game that I just played. Let's just scroll up. And they told me, I think you get 2 for losing. Now, I'm still a little bit... Oh, I can't actually go that far back. So I think it was 2 for losing. Now, I'm a little bit worried about that because, well, 2 for losing, you can kind of see actually in the comments here where I'm like, I'm a bit worried giving tickets for losing will make people throw, because it might do. Because you might just be like, you know what, I'm going to queue as flex, I'm probably going to get tank, and I'm just going to YOLO on hog, I don't care, throw the match, whatever, because I just want to play, well, damage. It seems what this does is half the queue time. Now, again, we can't actually confirm or deny that at the moment. This is the PTR. When it's on live, we'll get a better idea of how much this actually reduces the time of the queue. So let's say I want to use this on damage. I can literally click that. It's going to invest one of my tickets, and I click ready, and I go into the queue. That's how this works. On paper, this is a really good system. It's just going to depend on how, well, I guess if we get massive trolls who just want to kind of throw games on tank, I don't know, in a way, they need to incentivize winning on every single roll. So yeah, queue as flex, that's fine, but queuing as flex means that you will get the reward if you win, maybe, and you don't get it if you lose, so then that promotes people to try and win, I guess. I don't know. There's a lot of pros and cons for this system, but I think on the face of it, it's a decent system. But we're gonna have to wait until it hits live to kind of, you know, get to the bottom of it, to see if it's actually going to be good or bad for Overwatch. Okay, let's talk about some buffs that have actually hit the live game. We're going to talk about Ana, Moira, Brig, all of this stuff. It's going to be covered right now. So let's do this. So Ana is the one we're going to begin with, and I'm going to kind of put this at the top left of the screen so you can see a bit of gameplay. A massive like text block in your face. I don't know. I'm not feeling that anymore. Anyway. Look at this, right? Developer comments, a significant number of biotic grenades are blocked by allies accidentally intercepting it. Having it collide with allies in the same manner as Ana's primary fire will enable more deliberate placement of the ability. Yes, this now means we can throw grenades as Ana through full HP targets. This is actually really good. Now, there's a lot of people moaning about this, saying, well, it doesn't make a difference, does it? If you've got a roadhog in your face and he's took 1 damage, it's still going to explode on him. That's completely true, and it will. But in a lot of cases, it is still going to pass through full HP targets and be a little bit more effective. Also, people were saying, you know what? I like to throw my nade into a group and like make it explode on my roadhog so it splashes onto the rest of my team. Well, to that, I'd say you can still kind of throw it into the ground. So if you still need it to explode on your team, throw it into the ground. It's still going to work. But I think this is actually a good change. I don't think it's a massive, massive, huge change as I first thought it was. But it is going to help with those annoying cases where you are trying to lob a grenade and there is something which is in your face, which is full health, which is large, a Roadhog, a Reinhardt, or whatever. Now you can throw it through them and actually save other people. So I think it's a really good change. Let's talk about Brig, because Brig is a super, super hot topic. A lot of very vocal members of the community absolutely slamming on Brig. Bring the nerf back or get rid of the buff. So what Blizzard have done is exactly that. They have reduced the base health from 175 to 150. And the dev comments for this are, Brig was a likely candidate when looking at close range heroes to receive a health adjustment. while experimenting with 25 HP increments. This ended up being too powerful when combined with her shield and whatever. Now, yeah, Brig is one that I can understand both sides of the argument for Brig. Now, I generally play the game around high master level. And the players who were very vocal are playing at like 4.2, 4.3, 4.4k. Like, they're extremely good players. Brig is massively oppressive at those ranks. And those players don't want to play Brig because they want to play heroes that are more involving to play. But of course, the other side of the coin is, what about all the normal players that do enjoy Brig? She's a very difficult hero for Blizzard to balance. And honestly, ooh, I don't know. Maybe if you were to ask Blizzard what hero they'd like to delete from the game, it might actually be Brig. Anyway, you guys let me know about that in the comments below. This, though, is Moira. So Moira now, healing resource consumption rate lowered from 14 to 12.5. Dev comments are, Moira could use a small bump in healing efficiency after recent changes made, maintaining a high healing output challenge. So watch this actually in the background. What is this Hammond doing? Like, what is he doing? He's like, I don't know what he's doing. And then I noticed he was 1 HP. I'm like, oh, goodbye, Hammond. Yeah, unlucky. Yeah, we could be going into a bit of a Moira meta here. She's going to have a lot more healing, which is going to be pretty good. All right, some fast, quick-fire changes. Symmetra, teleporter can now be manually destroyed when dead. Torbjorn, you can do exactly the same thing with his turret. We've got Hanzo, which is storm arrows can now be cancelled manually, which is actually kind of nice. And then finally, we're going to get Mei, who can now destroy her ice wall when she is dead, which is actually a pretty nice change. Now, those changes are just more like kind of quality of life and bringing things in line with other changes in the game. Cancelling abilities, basically. Think about Genji Deflect has been allowed to be cancelled. This makes it more consistent across the board. Good stuff. Okay, what we're going to do now is talk about some stuff Scott Mercer has said relating to the actual priority pass system. Now, there's a very detailed blog post, and what I'm going to do is break down the most interesting bits of this post and slap them into this video, and then we're going to discuss them. So, let's begin with this. The most important thing we're looking out for is, at the end of the day, how can we make Overwatch more fun for our players? Principal game designer Scott Mercer says, he's discussing the team's latest idea as introduced by Jeff Kaplan in the most recent developer update video to do just that. All right then, so this is all about the new priority pass system and the reason why this has been actually added into the game. Now, I really like these things. Scott always does these great blog posts and even forum posts in the past when it's things to do with competitive matchmaking and all of that stuff, because I believe Scott is the one who is effectively in charge of that. So this new system, maybe it was Scott's initiative, but he's definitely taking the sort of lead on explaining this to the player base as to why we actually need it and what they're trying to address with the whole thing. Because damage is so popular, it's the main reason we see longer queue times for damage players. We've been looking to address this issue, and we believe Priority Pass is one way to do that. You can queue up as a flex player, someone who is willing to play tank, support or damage, and we'll provide you with priority passes. Then, if you wish to play as damage, which is the most impacted role in terms of queue times, you can spend those passes to lower your queue times. More players choosing to flex helps equalize our role populations in the queues, which should also help decrease the queue time imbalance between roles that players currently experience. You're provided a number of passes based on if you win or lose, and we provide a large number of those. Though we might change that number over time, by playing one flex game, you'll get multiple games where you have the priority pass to use for damage, and you can save up to 40 passes. Yeah, now, this to me is the bit which is interesting, the fact that you get passes for losing games. I'm not too sure if that's going to be great long term, because I can really see a world in which players are just like, you know what? I'm just going to play Roadhog and die really fast, or Reinhardt and die really fast, just to get out of this game, because I want those 2 passes that I can spend on 2 really fast DPS games. And then I'll go back and throw another tank game. I don't want that to happen. I think what might be happening is the devs might be a little bit sort of putting a bit too much faith in human nature here, going, you know what, guys? Actually, you're going to learn to flex, and we're going to reward you for that, even if you lose. But I think players are cynical. And I think players are just going to be like, you know what? I don't care. I mean, you guys all know what a typical DPS player is like. I say this with the most playtime on DPS than any other role. So I'm speaking for myself. The thing is with me, though, I don't mind playing a tank game. I don't mind playing a support game. I play all the heroes anyway, so it's fine. Well, within reason, apart from Genji. But I play all the roles, and I'm not too fussed with that. But I can see it just being abused, and that's a massive worry for me. Like, a Blizzard then just going to have to come back and say, no, you only get passes if you win. And if you only get passes for winning, well, does that put pressure on people who can't win? I don't know. There's so much stuff. Anyway, let's move on to this. How does the priority pass work for teams? Now, If the players in your group are queuing for an impacted role for the entire group to be considered as having a priority pass, the players queuing as the impacted role, usually damage, need to spend passes. For example, if I'm playing with you and you decide to play as tank or support, and then I decide to play damage, only I will need to spend the pass, and that will prioritize us in the queue. So, if you do have a load of... I mean, you can see a world where this happens, right? If you are a damage main, if you're a Genji main, for example, and in the evening you play with your friends, but it takes ages because you're always queuing up as damage. Well, you could actually maybe get a cheeky game in at dinner time, maybe in the morning, as the flex role, and try and up your game in that respect. But then you get the passes, which then later on at night, you'll be able to use with your friends. And I think that's kind of a cool concept. But again, this all relies on players actually being nice and using the system as intended, and not just, well, you know, legit throwing games just to get fast passes on tanks or supports. Oh dear. Although, granted, you get more when you win, so it's in your interest to win, then you wouldn't have to throw as many games. But, Anyway, let's move on. What do you think contributes to the longer damage queue times? Part of the reason playing damage has been more popular is that we've had more damage heroes than tanks and supports. This takes me back to when we all found out Echo as a damage and everyone went mental. It was like, Anyway, over the last few years, players have seen us implement more tanks and supports to help with that. The question also often raised by players is, shouldn't you just make tanks and supports more fun and more powerful? And to be honest, they're really powerful and people have a lot of fun. It's just a matter of preference and taste. Overwatch is a first-person shooter, and for a lot of players, that means they want play hit scan characters, and that's what they enjoy to do. So, some blah, 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 it goes on, right? I mean, you can get what's being said here, right? This is basically a case of, look, Overwatch is an FPS game. People want to play damage and all of that stuff, so yeah. But Overwatch want you to actually flex. But the thing is, I think as well, it goes a little bit deeper than that. It's not just the number of damage heroes in the game. It's the feedback you get. When you play damage, it just feels way better than playing Reinhardt walking forward with a shield. Think about even the visual rewards you get on the screen. The kill feed lighting up. Like, you've seen elimination spamming up everywhere. You're like, I don't know, visibly destroying somebody. Whereas with Reinhardt, it's like, yeah, I got my barrier up. You're not getting a constant pop-up of like, yeah, barrier, protected. You know, so I think it's a little bit more ingrained than that. But I do agree. It's an FPS game, right? So people are going to naturally gravitate towards the FPS heroes. But I do think that when they say giving players control over how they help themselves by letting them determine when or if they want to queue as flex is nice and might actually promote people to just play more flex anyway, which would be better for Overwatch overall. Because I don't think, and I think I will always stick to this, that just being a one trick is necessarily great for Overwatch. But what being a one trick is good for is, well, getting SR and winning more games because you get more familiar with that hero. So it's always been at odds, hasn't it, with Overwatch game design? Do you flex or do you just become extremely good with one hero? I don't know. All right, guys, thank you for watching this video. It's been my pleasure, as always, to put this together for you guys. If you did enjoy the video, then let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Let me know what you think about me changing the placement of the text as well on the screen so you guys can kind of see a bit more as to what's going on. And, yeah, thank you very much for watching again, guys. I'll catch you lovely lot on the next video. Toodaloo.